Hi there. When we work with international candidates, the first thing we do for them is to find their ideal overseas employers. And the reason we're doing this is so that they can target them directly. And this is a completely different way of international job search. So instead of applying for jobs online just with a generic CV, we turn the whole table around. We're going after the ideal employers, finding them and directly targeting them. So in this video today, I'm going to take you through that process of how to find those ideal employers, just as I do it for my international candidates. If you don't know who I am, I'm Sorrelsian International Career Strategist and Migration Mentor. And during the last decade or so, I've helped around 500 plus international candidates land their dream jobs overseas. And this video, I'm going to take you through how to find those ideal employers and also make sure that they are sponsors if you need to be able to work with sponsors. And this is going to be a very how-to video, so instructional video. So we're going to jump into my computer and I'm going to literally show you some of those ways that I use with international candidates to find those employers. Just before we get there, I want to give you a little bit of context. Context in the sense of why are we doing this? Why don't we just go and create a great CV and apply for jobs online? Well, by now, if you've been watching me for a while, you know how difficult it is to find a job overseas just by applying online. I'm not going to go into all the details of all these obstacles, but you know it's fairly impossible. So instead of that, we turn the tables, like I say, we find the employers. And in that process of working with international candidates, we go through a three-step method. So what I want to do first is just give you a little bit of context. So we'll jump into my computer and I'll show you the three-step method that we use with international candidates to help them in their quest to find overseas jobs, and how that sits within this three-step method. Now, you might have seen me talking about this in previous videos or in some of my talks online, but the three-step method is first validation or research. And this is where this step sits to find those ideal employers. Part of this research is what are the jobs that they are pursuing, what are the requirements, and who are the employers who they need to target. So this is what we'll be looking at today. Because then if we know the requirements and what these employers want, once we've identified them, with those requirements, we can then create a profile to match their requirements. And then we can put that profile in front of those employers and hiring managers inside them that we found. So it's a very laser targeted, focused approach, and we can actually measure these things. So today, we're just going to look at how to find these employers. Well, I'm going to give you about 5 ways. I use about 12 to 15 ways, and I make a list of about 50 or so of these employers per candidate if I work with people individually one-on-one. But here I'm going to show you literally 5 ways that you can find these employers. Now, what I want to do is use a very specific real-world example. In other words, someone real that I've been working with. And this person is IT. He is a IT network engineer, network infrastructure engineer. So in his niche, this is what he worked with before. He is coming into New Zealand and he's looking at managed service providers, MSPs. In other words, those companies who employ people like him, very, very important targeting, who are ideal employers in his destination country in New Zealand, who are managed service providers. These are his targets. This is what we're going to find. So I'm going to jump in here and literally show you these 5 ways. But first, we cast the net really wide, because if you're coming to a different country, you have no idea about who is who over there, who are the employers. So the first thing you're going to do is to cast your net really wide and use a good old Google search, right? Very wide search. But for you, if you're offshore, make sure that you then go and set up your location. I'm just going to use 2 keywords here. We can use a range, or you can use a Boolean search here, and lots of different keywords. This is one of about 50 of his key skills keywords. So you can see here that Google is telling us what is a managed service IT provider, infrastructure and user in systems, etc. And now it's going to tell us who are they? So here you just literally need to find one or two, and then it will make the next searches so much easier. So here it will tell you some of these companies: Oxygen IT, Canon New Zealand. There's so many of them, but you just need to find one. And then from that one, like I say, you can go on to find the next one. So Mace IT Services, let's just take this one. All right, so Mace IT Services looks like a potential opportunity employer for this candidate. So let's look through their website and just make sure that this is it, right? So Mace IT, they've got something on their blog. I just want to see who the company is. About us, pioneered IT service New Zealand for 14 years, delivering business value, who they're working with, etc. Yeah, looks like they can be a potential obvious employer. So what you're going to do then, I recommend is start a list of these employees. This is literally what we do. We're going through and we're going to create a list. So I'm doing this in real time, so bear with me here, right? So table, we're just going to insert a table in MS Word here. You can use anything, spreadsheets, or you can write it down on a piece of paper. But Mace IT, right? So we're going to capture some information. And the reason we're doing this is so that we can actually use this information in next steps. I will tell you some details about that in a later stage of this video. I'm not going to go through everything. This video is purely about finding these employers, but we capture like their website. We capture like, so they're doing IT support for other businesses. Is exactly what my client would be looking for, this kind of employer. So we're looking for their LinkedIn page, if they have a LinkedIn page. And the reason is that in the next step, we're going to actually follow this company and see some of their posts. In New Zealand, about 5 to 6% of jobs are either advertised online. So if you actually follow this company, they would sometimes be putting their jobs on their LinkedIn posts, not in LinkedIn jobs. So therefore, we are going to follow them, and therefore we need their LinkedIn page. And then we're going to find the careers page. Now, there's something that we actually do with their careers page, but I'm not going to tell you at the moment because it's just going to confuse you. But I wanted to just capture anything that you can see in terms of their careers page. Like, right, so we're going to scroll here. Here's careers button, and just capture their careers page. I will make another video if you wanted to show you how you're going to use this careers page to get into their pool, their talent pool, with a strategy called the direct approach strategy, or the virtual door knock. It's part of the strategies. So if you want me to, tell me below this video and I'll make a video for you about it if you don't know how to do that. All right. So here we have the first one. Cool, bananas. We have the first one. Only 49 to go. However, we have one company that we now know is an ideal employer. Now, in the next step, you also need to go and check whether they are sponsors. Don't worry, I'm going to tell you how to do that. But this is literally the step that you can do with as many as you like. However, if you have one, the next steps become so much easier. And that brings us to the next way, which is LinkedIn recommendations. And sorry about that. LinkedIn recommendations is something that LinkedIn does when you follow a company. It will tell you about more of the similar company. So that's why we need it also to find their LinkedIn page. So for this, we're going to go back to their LinkedIn page, which is just here. And in LinkedIn, watch very closely what's going to happen. So if I click follow here on their LinkedIn page, LinkedIn is going to say, oh, wait, there's more just like them. And it will give you a whole new list. So now you can see IT Fortress, NSP, IT Live, Lankan Technology, and so many more can be also similar employers. Now, they're not always similar employers because LinkedIn makes some mistakes. LinkedIn actually reads the about pages of other employers and brings up a list that are similar in description and keywords. So potentially they can be, but it doesn't mean that they are. So you've got to go through every one of them. But nevertheless, this is a very easy way to just go and check if these other ones are potentially the same. This one is in Wellington in New Zealand, IT Fortress. Let's see what they do. They are IT solutions company, empowering businesses globally. Yeah, cloud design, deployment. They do DevOps and automation, etc. There you go. They're potentially an employer for this candidate. So now what we're going to do is just go to their website. We're just going to put them on our list and capture their website details. In the next step, here we go. Got their website details, and we're going to go and capture their LinkedIn details. Obviously, we were there just now, so we can just capture that. And then we're going to go and look at their careers page if we on their website. And you sometimes need to scroll around a little bit and check if you can see where it is. And if it's not there, find an email address that you can do. This one has got a careers page, dedicated careers page. So we can actually use that. It takes me back to the same page though. There we go. Can you see that? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try and find a contact detail for them. Here we go. Because in that virtual door knock, we can also use email addresses to be able to get into the pool. Like I say, it's a video for another day, but we can do that. Now we're starting a list here. So I've shown you 2 ways in growing your list. Now you can continue with this way of just looking at the LinkedIn recommendations that come up and just continue to build this list. However, there's more ways. The next one is to look at who is advertising. So if you've been applying online, then you probably have visited websites like SEEK in New Zealand or LinkedIn Jobs or some of them. So we're going to go to SEEK in New Zealand. Just as one of those websites. By the way, SEEK contains about 6% of available opportunities in New Zealand. Australia is very similar. So it's a huge, it's a tiny slice of the huge hidden job market, right? So there's massive opportunities which you don't even know about when you only look at SEEK. A video for another day. But here we can literally go and look at network. I'm just going to put a keyword in here. There's 50, 80 different keywords that you can use in here. But what we can do here is literally refine it so that we get to the right place. So obviously we're going to go into IT here, information technology, and then the type of information technology would obviously be engineering, network, or help desk and IT support. And push SEEK button and see what we're getting here. So this is a GCSB, which is a government organization. This is a GCSB. They're looking for a whole lot of people at the moment. Engage. Let's see who that is. I don't know them. Recruitment. There's a recruitment company. That's Gallagher. That is a business in New Zealand. This is a recruitment company. This is the GCSB. They're looking for quite a few network engineers, right? We can change here, or network support. You can also leave the keywords out of here and get a bigger list, obviously, if you wanted to. It's just a question of looking through this list and making sure that you're getting the right one. So Lexel, who are they? I think they are MSP. Yep, they are. Lexel Resourcing, it's an IT, connecting IT talent with opportunity. Yeah, Lexel. So we're going to look at who's Lexel. So we see this company. So we're going to look at who is Lexel. There we go. IT services company. So here we have another one just by looking at who is advertising. Now SEEK, while this loads, is, like I say, about 6% of opportunities in New Zealand. If you want to be really, not really, but if you want to be a little bit more effective, go to places like Jora in New Zealand, because Jora is a job search engine. It searches the web for opportunities. We SEEK is a place where employers come to post opportunities. That's why it's got so few. And it's really expensive. So if you go to Jora, you will see at the moment there's 62,000 opportunities there. Whereas about in SEEK, if you let's just take this out of here. Let's just delete this and just go and look at all the opportunities in SEEK at the moment. And there would be also need to be able to unselect this. Okay. And let's just look at anything in SEEK. And there would usually be between 18,000 and 25. Yeah, 19,963 jobs at the moment. We're in Jora, over 63,000. So Jora is an engine. It picks up opportunities on employers' websites which are not on SEEK. So that's another part of the job market. There's usually between 120 and 130,000 opportunities at any time. And you can't see them if you're looking at SEEK, especially Jora a little bit more. But if you want to do the same thing, you can just come in here and do this kind of search. Like I say, you can use so many different ones. I mean, this would get you so many different ones. And this will give you a much better idea of who is advertising, and it's probably on their website. Nevertheless, you get my point. Let's look at Lexel. So Lexel is that IT company that I've been talking about that we've just researched. The internet's really slow here at the moment, but we can now add them to the list and just capture their details in the same way. And now you can see how I'm literally just going and keeping on going with this list until I have about 50 of them. And it is, this is the big work, right? This is the work that you can do when you replace the time and effort that you spend in online job applications. And this is much more focused, much more targeted work. It is also, like I say, the ability to get to jobs and opportunities that are never advertised because you're looking at employers directly instead of going reactive where they advertise, which is a really small part of the job market. So here is Lexel and the details. I'm too lazy to go back to the LinkedIn page there. Maybe we should go back there. Do I still have it? No, I don't. So Lexel, let's go into LinkedIn and finish this list. I'm sorry, the internet's a little bit slow at the moment. Let's just search for them and find their LinkedIn page. Like I say, in the next steps, you're going to use this information that you're gathering from these companies, all their website details, their LinkedIn page details, etc., in the strategies to get in front of them. If you want to, I'll make another video for you about these strategies and the exact ways to do this. Leave me a comment if you want detail or explanations of these things. I do this every day. So I sort of find it, very common or very easy. And for others, it's potentially a little bit more difficult. So let's look at looking for talent, seeking opportunities. There's the careers page. So what we're going to do there is look here. That is the careers page. I'm not going to explain what to do with this. This is quite a big thing, but nevertheless, for now, we're just gathering information. Can you see how I'm building this list? And in each one of these instances, you could have just continued on with that particular instance and could have built your list, but I'm showing you a couple of ways here. All right, so there we go. That is the third way. The fourth way is, who are people working for? Really easy to do. So we're going to go back into LinkedIn. On the LinkedIn page, the newsfeed or your homepage of LinkedIn, and here you're going to use some keyword, any keyword. You must have researched those keywords, right? So using that keyword, you're going to look at people, because these are potentially their titles or it's in the LinkedIn description. And you're going to look at locations. So let's look at New Zealand here. Now, in this next step, there's a secret button here. Here you can literally go through this list and look at who these people are working for. But what you can also do is look at all filters, and it will give you a list of the most prevalent companies. Right? So here you can see the most prevalent companies. So if you're using this kind of search and you narrow it slightly, it will literally come and take out the companies or the ones that are most prevalent that these people are working for and put them in this list here. Can you see this? So Datacom, etc., they are some of those MSP companies that these people are working for. So this is one way of doing it. Other way of doing it is literally going and using that search keyword in LinkedIn here. And looking at the companies while I'm typing away here. So we looked at people and who are the people working for, or we literally can come in here and look at companies in New Zealand with those keywords in LinkedIn. So here you can just literally, choose how big these companies you want to target, and that it'll come up. And in this instance, when I worked with this person, I found that these companies were sort of the smaller ones. That's exactly who is targeting. He's already landed his job. But here you can see lots of them, right? Lots of them, but you just have to make sure that you get your location correct. Obviously. I'm doing this live, so bear with me here. I hope you can keep up. Ask me in the questions if you have any, in the comments if you have any questions, right? So once you have some results here, managed services, that'll help. You can add some of these companies to your list. In this instance, this person wanted to be in a smaller environment. He didn't want to be in a big city. So we literally went and looked for companies in smaller regional towns in New Zealand who are managed service providers. And we found them, and he had several job offers. So it was just the first step in finding those companies. So here you can see Blue Sky, Park Lane IT, Henson Group. That's in Texas, though. That's in Florida. Don't know why LinkedIn does that. Australia, Singapore, but Fusion 5 is a very prominent IT and managed services company in New Zealand. I know I've had a lot of candidates being interviewed there, so Fusion 5 is one of them. So we can just add them to our list like we've been used to. Can you see how much work this is? But on the flip side, can you also see how targeted this is? And I think the targeting becomes profound and meaningful when you actually get to the strategies part of getting in front of them. So while you're doing this, I want you to at least take a quick look at their careers page and do a little bit of a test. Okay. So here, let's see services, industries, explore. We're going to search for their careers, news, resources. Resources, maybe not there. Blogs. Let's go below and see if we can find anything that says careers for them. Terms and conditions, etc. Oh, there we go. Careers page. So this is their careers page, right? So we're just going to put that in. So do a little bit of a test. It's not going to work with everyone, but go here on their careers page, view New Zealand careers. Look at how many jobs they have advertised on their website. There's how many here? A dozen or so, right? So now go into SEEK. What are they? Fusion 5. Let's look at Fusion 5. And see how many jobs. 0. $3,500 per job ad per month. Is it the cost for an employer to put a job ad on SEEK? They have no jobs on SEEK, but look how many they have on their website. Can you see the value in just targeting your employers? Okay, so you've got that. Cool. I hope you're still with me here. The last one is actually the one where you are going to cross-reference this now with employer sponsor lists. Now, if you want the lists of employer sponsors around the world below this video, I'm going to put a link for you. It's this one here, and it will take you to my page, to my website, to this resource here. If you log in or download this resource here, it will take you to a page where you can download a range of resources on how to get started, including a workbook. And in that workbook are lists of employers around the world. Now, these lists are publicly available, right? So there's just links in the workbook that goes to the links of these employers around the world. And that is how you could actually access the employer lists around the world and cross-reference with them, but also find more employers on those lists. So it'll take you through to here, where to start. So download this free resource here, and you will get that workbook. This is the workbook here. You can literally download that guide, and it has the lists of those resources. So you will see in this guide, like Canada, the UK, the Australia, New Zealand, etc. So there's literally lists of resources in this workbook. Okay, but if we want to go to New Zealand, I'm just going to take the shortcut. Accredited employers in New Zealand are the sponsors. There's a publicized public register of them. There's like 29,000 of them on the list. There's thousands of them on the list. The other countries' lists are even longer. Netherlands, UK, Canada, USA, Australia. They're public lists. You can Google them if you want to, or you can get my resource and get the links. But here, you're literally going to look for the actual employer to make sure that it is a sponsor. All right. And you can search here for different things, for keywords, etc. So Lexel Systems is a registered sponsor in New Zealand. They can sponsor immigrants. But what you can also do here is search by a keyword. For example, if you're looking for a university, you literally put that university word in here, and you can see all the employers who are sponsors in that country. And then what you can do is then from there, go to their website, go to their LinkedIn page, go to their careers page, and fill out this list that you're gathering information here. Does that make sense? So instead of just going to find the employers first, literally go to the employers list here in the accredited employers list, like in New Zealand or in Australia or in the UK. I'll show you the UK one, the United Kingdom. Registered sponsors. So you will literally get a list. Just always make sure that you go to the official website. Never any other website. Ever any other website. Always make sure you go to the official website. So here in the UK, you can download that list of registered sponsors. I'm not going to do it. It's going to crash my computer. It's huge. You can see 10.5 megabyte, this file. And it's a CSV file. So for this, you can literally go to those lists, find those employers, and then bring that information back into your list of compiling your list of your ideal employers. That's it. So when I work with international candidates, I do this work for them. I research the employers. I find the employers for them. And then in the next steps, I do skills analysis, gap analysis, a range of requirements research to make sure we have a picture, so we can actually build a picture and then go and build a actual profile. that contains things to match what these employers want. So there's a little bit more work to do in looking at what do these employers want. I've built bespoke tools to analyze what these employers want. I take that information, I build a profile, and then during the strategies, we put these candidates in front of these employers. And that is where they land jobs that were never advertised online. You saw me looking at the one for Fusion 5D. So these candidates get considered for these jobs where nobody else can get to. There's no competition for them because it's not been advertised online. And there's a range of strategies that we use to get them in front of these employers that we have found for them. I'm going to stop this video here today because it's already enough information. I've been over half an hour here. I hope you found this helpful. However, make sure that you go below this video. There's a link to that resource where you can get a full training series of how to get started with your immigration process, the workbook, the sponsors list. There's a lot of information there. There is also, if you're ready and you're eligible and you've done your eligibility and you've done everything and you're struggling to find your job, there is the 7-day international career positioning course. It's free. It's completely free. In that course, you are going to learn a whole lot of things. So over 7 days, I'm going to send you a range of videos, tools, checklists, templates, everything that I use with my international candidates on a daily basis. And you're going to work through everything in that 3-step method in that course. So it's a free course. You can download it by going to that link, the 7-day course. I'll put all these links below this video for you. And part of that training is more in-depth training of how to find your employers, like I've gone through in this video a little bit. I hope you found this helpful. If you have questions about any of these things, leave them below this video. DM me on LinkedIn, wherever you need to. Please ask, and I'll make more videos like this. And I'd appreciate it if you like and subscribe this video to get more in videos like this. When I release them, you'll get notified of them. So thank you for your time today. Until next time, take care.